Breaking news. Trump-Kim summit live. President predicts terrific relationship as leaders begin talks. North Korea's despotic leader Kim Jong-un is set to meet U.S. President Donald Trump tonight at a historic summit in Singapore, with the world holding its breath as the two live-wire leaders go head-to-head. It will mark the first time the ruling leaders of North Korea and the U.S. will have met since the establishment of the hermit state following the Korean War in the early 1950s. Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un are said to meet at 2 a.m. tonight, with bilateral discussions set to be held in Singapore. While hopes for a denuclearization or peace deal are low, both sides have spoken of their hopes for positive, constructive talks on the future of the Korean peninsula. Mr. Trump said he is determined to denuclearize the rogue state, who in the past have frequently threatened death on destruction on their enemies in Washington, Seoul and Tokyo. Tuesday, June 12, 3:56 am update. Kim Jong-un refuses to say whether he will renounce nuclear weapons. Kim Jong-un has refused to say whether he will renounce his nuclear weapons. President Trump stated he would work with the North Korean leader to pursue the complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. The U.S. leader said, "Working together will get it taken care of." He added the two leaders would solve a big problem, a big dilemma. 3:31 am update. South Korean president said he had a sleepless night. South Korean President Moon Jae-in said he had a sleepless night ahead of President Trump and Kim Jong-un summit. He said he hoped the summit would open a new chapter in South Korea's relations with the North. The South Korean leader commented on the summit, saying, "The North Korea-US summit has just begun and I believe all Koreans have their eyes fixed on Singapore." 3:18 am update. Top North Korean officials join the meeting. A selection of Kim Jong-un's top advisors have joined the meeting. Among the officials is Kim Yong-chol, the vice chairman of the party Central Committee. Mr. Yong-chol met President Trump earlier in June to deliver a personal letter from the North Korean leader. 3:01 am update. President Trump and Kim Jong-un commence second round of talks. President Trump and Kim Jong-un have begun their second round of talks following their one-on-one meeting. Trump described his first meeting with the North Korean leader as very, very good. The U.S. leader has now been joined by White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and National Security Advisor John Bolton. 2:51 am update. President Trump and Kim Jong-un waved to the press. President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un have waved to the media from the first-floor balcony of the Capella Hotel. 2:49 am update. Dennis Rodman says Donald Trump reached out to him ahead of the summit. Retired American basketball player Dennis Rodman has said President Trump reached out to him ahead of the summit. Speaking on CNN, he said, "Donald Trump reached out, he called his secretary, she called me and said Donald Trump is so proud of you, he likes you a lot. And that means a lot. I don't want to take any credit, we can all take credit and I'm just so glad this is happening." Rodman flew to Singapore on Monday ahead of the summit. Commenting on the meeting, he added, "This is Trump and Kim Jong-un's day, it's the world's day, it's not my day." 2:39 am update. The interpreter with President Trump works at the State Department. The interpreter accompanying President Trump in his meeting with Kim Jong-un is Dr. Yun-Hyang Lee, according to sources. She is the Division Chief of Interpreting Services at the State Department. 2:10 am update. President Trump and Kim Jong-un speak to the press ahead of the summit. Speaking to the press, President Trump said, "We will have a terrific relationship, I have no doubt." Kim replied that both parties had overcome numerous obstacles prior to the summit. He said, "We overcame all of them and we are here today." 2:07 am update. President Trump and Kim Jong-un have shaken hands on the steps of the hotel. President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un have shaken hands on the steps of the Capella Hotel, and posed for photos. The leaders have since departed for one-on-one discussions. 2:00 am update. President Trump has entered the Capella Hotel. President Donald Trump has left his motorcade and entered the Capella Hotel on Sentosa Island. The two leaders are due to meet in a few minutes, and will pose for a joint photograph. 1:59 am update. Kim Jong-un has entered the Capella Hotel. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has left his motorcade and entered the Capella Hotel on Sentosa Island. 1:49 am update. President Trump announces his chief economic advisor Larry Kudlow has suffered a heart attack. President Trump has announced that his chief economic advisor Larry Kudlow has suffered a heart attack just moments after he arrived on Sentosa Island for his meeting with Kim Jong-un. The U.S. leader wrote, "Out great Larry Kudlow, who has been working so hard on trade and the economy, has just suffered a heart attack. He is now in Walter Reed Medical Center." Mr. Kudlow is not attending the U.S.-North Korea summit in Singapore, but instead returned to the U.S. following the G7 meeting in Canada. 1:35 update, Kim Jong-un arrives at summit. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un has arrived at the Capella Hotel on Sentosa Island, ahead of his meeting with President Trump. The two leaders are due to meet in half an hour. They are due to hold a one-on-one meeting accompanied only by translators at 9 a.m. local time. 1:25 am, Donald Trump has arrived at the Singapore summit and awaits the North Korea leader. The president has arrived at the Capella Hotel in Singapore ahead of the historic summit. Kim Jong-un has not yet completed his journey to the summit location. 1:15, Kim Jong-un has departed for his Singapore summit with Donald Trump. The despot leader has left the St. Regis and is en route to the summit location. The meeting is set to start at 9 a.m. local time, 2 a.m. GMT. 1:06 am, Donald Trump has left for his historic meeting with Kim Jong-un. The Republican firebrand has departed from the Shangri-La Hotel where he was staying ahead of the talks and is on his way to the Capella Hotel on Sentosa Island. It is understood both leaders will enter the negotiating room at the same time, from different doors, as a sign of respect to one another. Kim Jong-un has not yet been spotted leaving his hotel. 01:02 am update, President Trump spoke to Japan's Prime Minister and South Korea's President ahead of the summit. President Trump held phone calls with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and South Korean President Moon Jae-in on Monday ahead of the summit today. The White House released a statement regarding the phone calls, stating, "President Donald J. Trump spoke yesterday with President Moon Jae-in of the Republic of Korea to discuss recent developments ahead of today's summit with North Korea." The two leaders vowed to continue their close coordination following President Trump's meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Singapore. President Donald J. Trump spoke yesterday with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan. The two leaders discussed recent developments ahead of today's summit with North Korea and agreed to consult closely following the meeting. 00:55 p.m. update, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo departs his hotel for the summit. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has departed the Shangri-La Hotel in Singapore and is on his way to the summit on Sentosa Island. The State Department tweeted a photo of the U.S. official, writing, "Secretary Pompeo departs the Shangri-La Hotel for today's historic Singapore summit." 00:35 am update, Kim Jong-un has been staying at the St. Regis Hotel in Singapore. Kim Jong-un has been staying at the St. Regis Hotel in Singapore ahead of his summit with President Donald Trump. He checked into the hotel on Sunday, which is located in the main retail district of the city. A procession of North Korean officials followed Kim into the hotel, including his younger sister Kim Yo-jong. A human shield has been created around the hotel, including North Korean bodyguards and Singaporean police officers. At Sec Pompeo departs the Shangri-La Hotel for today's historic Singapore summit. pic.twitter.com/gl28tbrb, Department of State, at State Dept., June 11, 2018 Monday, June 12, 11:50 p.m. update, Kim Jong-un learned of Singapore's social and economic development during night tour. North Korea's state media agency reported that Kim Jong-un learned about the social and economic development of Singapore during a nighttime tour of the city, a day ahead of his meeting with President Trump. Mr. Kim visited tourist attractions in the city-state on Monday night after leaving the St. Regis Hotel, where he is staying. The Korean Central News Agency, KCNA, said, Kim Jong-un, chairman of the Workers' Party of Korea and chairman of the State Affairs Commission of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, toured various places of Singapore on June 11. Going round the Great Flower Garden, one of the prides of Singapore, Sky Park located on the roof of the world-famous Marina Bay Sands building and Singapore Port, he learned about the social and economic development of the Republic of Singapore. 11:15 p.m. Update. Trump blasts critics of U.S.-North Korea summit. Mr. Trump has blasted critics of the U.S.-North Korea summit ahead of his meeting with Kim Jong-un. He said the U.S. had secured the release of their hostages and missile launches within North Korea had stopped. The president wrote on Twitter, saying, "The fact that I am having a meeting is a major loss for the U.S., say the haters and losers. We have our hostages, testing, research and all missile launches have stopped, and these pundits, who have called me wrong from the beginning, have nothing else they can say. We will be fine." President Trump's motorcade heads to the summit site. Kim Jong-un is about to depart his hotel as well. pic.twitter.com/Fuki6KZ2 Additional reporting by Joey Miller. 10:40 p.m. Trump tweets ahead of summit. Mr. Trump has taken to Twitter with just hours to go before tonight's summit. He said talks were going well but said nothing mattered until the one-on-one talks. He said, "Meetings between staffs and representatives are going well and quickly, but in the end, that doesn't matter. We will all know soon whether or not a real deal, unlike those of the past, can happen." 9:15 p.m. Details for the summit. Mr. Trump and Kim will meet for 45 minutes on Singapore's Sentosa Island. Neither will be accompanied by advisors or staff, other than a translator each. They will then hold a larger group meeting and working lunch. 8:30 p.m. Kim calling the shots? North Korea are believed to have set a deadline on the Singapore summit, forcing Mr. Trump to adjust his travel plans. Bloomberg is reporting Kim set a Tuesday deadline for ending the summit, a move which meant the U.S. president changed his departure date from tomorrow to Wednesday. Bloomberg cited two U.S. officials familiar with the planning, who said Mr. Trump had been willing to stay longer if necessary. 7:45 p.m. Dennis Rodman arrives. Former U.S. basketball star and personal friend of Kim Jong-un has arrived in Singapore. He said he had arrived to show support for the meeting, although he is not expected to have an official role. Rodman said this afternoon, "It should go fairly well, but people should not expect so much for the first time. The doors are opening." 7:30 p.m. Tension. What tension? Kim Jong-un looked relaxed as he took in some sights during the tour of Singapore's waterfront earlier today. The dictator even grinned as he posed for a selfie with Singapore diplomats. He smiled for a rare unofficial photograph with Singapore's Finance Minister Vivian Balakrishnan and Education Minister Ong Ye Kung atop the famous Gardens by the Bay landmark in the Asian city.